Welcome to Norse Code, the number one podcast for you Minnesota Vikings. I'm your host, James Pagashnik. Thank you guys so much for listening, and welcome to the almost annual Christmas episode. Apologies we didn't do it last year, but we are doing it this year. So welcome to the clip show that has all sorts of stuff from the Patreon, from some of the best questions, some of the best little bits we had throughout the year, and a little bit from the live show at the very end. But again, thank you guys so much for listening throughout the year. We really appreciate the support, whether you just listen to it here, whether it's on Spotify, iTunes, whatever. If you guys are sharing links to it on social media, playing it for friends, playing it for family, trying to convince your kids to listen to it in one particular instance, or if you support us over on Patreon or have bought a t-shirt this year or attended a live show from Arif and I, thank you. Thank you so much for letting us sit here and spend countless hours entertaining you and forcing me to go nuts by the end of the year to clip it all into a show. Special reminder that the Patreon people will be getting a special clip show for them here in the next week or so, probably, depending on when I regain my sanity. If you enjoy this sort of content, feel free to join us over on Patreon. You get access to bonus episodes like this, and that comes out usually about once or twice a month, usually twice a month during the regular season, but about once a month or so during the year, we will be we shoot these things out, and people seem to enjoy it. You can also join us on the Discord as well when you sign up over on Patreon. A quick reminder to everyone listening to this episode, as is typically the case, these clips are very uncensored. There's one point where Arif and I are almost yelling at each other, and that is definitely peppered with some lovely bits of profanity. I've joked before, but Arif has much more of a potty mouth than you'd imagine on here. It's also just fun to yell at him, to be fair, whether it's online or over, Skype. So, just a reminder again, keep the kids away from this one. There's a lot of swearing. If you like supporting us, patreon.com/norsecode or paypal.me/norsecode as well. Or you can get a lovely shower curtain, t-shirts, stickers, everything else, but shower curtains over at the norsecode.threadless.com store. Special thank you to everyone involved, whether it is Arif, whether it is our Patreon people, all of that. Thank you. And now let's get into the show. For a full day, I was just replying to Luke Braun tweets with nudes in bio.
I approve.
I was gonna do it to all Rasta posts, but I figured that might cause a problem. Let's go to Vignesh, who asks, for Arif Social Justice Corner, how much racism in the NFL are we willing to accept if Brian Flores can stay as our defensive coordinator? I had to include that.
It's like a little scale, like, no, on the one hand.
Well, you're just slowly turning it up.
It's like the drill tweet, yeah.
Yeah. Or you can go over to norsecode.threadless.com and pick out any number of fantastic merchandise options, including bumper stickers, including magnets, including a shower curtain, if the spirit moves you. Check it out over at norsecode.threadless.com.
If the spirit moves you to buy a shower curtain, I would highly suggest investing in an exorcism.
Look, the spirit might be wrong, but capitalism's capitalism. So if you're willing to give us a couple of bucks,
buy the shower curtain and then get the Exorcist, I don't know if I love that either.
Have your priorities straightened out at norsecode.threadless.com. And with that, let's get into this episode of Norse Code. I realize I just sent you a link to a clip from a lingerie football league game, but I promise it's worth it.
Excuse me, it's the Legends Football League now?
Hillbillies want to be called Sons of the Soil, but that shit ain't happening. So good luck with this.
All right. Okay, you promise this is worth it.
Yes.
I have my doubts. Okay, that was a terrible tackle. What the fuck?
Well, listen to it. It's about to play out.
Holy fuck. Holy fuck. Well, I mean... Oh my god. Oh, she's terrible. It's 4th and fucking 12. What do you think they're gonna do? Run the goddamn ball? Holy. I mean, that guy believes in women's football, right?
That man. There has never
an ally.
There has never been a bigger feminist, including
God
women
damn it, Megan.
on this planet. This man believes. He does call it Legends Football League. He is.
You're right.
There is no one on this planet who believes in these women more and what they can accomplish. And by God, where the fuck were you on that coverage?
Well, he believes in women. He just doesn't believe in Megan.
Okay, yeah. She's failed him for the last time.
Yeah.
She might actually be walking home from.
Yeah, it's fucking Megan Asher Allen right there.
You're gonna quit at halftime, go home, take a cab, think about what you've done, listen to the game in the cab.
I pray you take a lesson from Buffalo Bills Vontae Davis.
Yes,
because it's clear as shit you're not taking lessons from Indianapolis Colts Vontae Davis.
Legends for that. You know what? I kind of want that coach in the NFL. I want a level of seriousness that man brought. Even Mike Zimmer would be taken aback by the sheer amount of anger and yelling that this coach has. Or
it's 4th and fucking 12 is so good. It's so good. What are you gonna do? Run the fucking ball?
I mean, I did that on somebody last night again, playing college football on Xbox. It was 4th and 15. I was getting my ass kicked, and I had a what was it? I did just a straight up draw. Just nothing special. Just shotgun formation. Just run up the gut. He was expecting deep, and I got a first down by a mile. I was like, oh, good.
This fucking monster.
I looked at it too, and I went, I could throw a screen here, and I might make it. But I think it'd be funnier if I do this.
Well, you were right.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was funny as hell. I lost the game, and how? But that moment was pretty. I enjoyed that. What are they gonna do on? It's 4th and fucking 12.
I mean, Megan is pretty bad based off of those two clips, man. I'm shocked you didn't bench her earlier. It's very clear she's not paying attention in practice.
I mean, look, it's being a corner. I bet she's the number 2 corner. I bet.
Oh, yeah.
I bet she's the Bomani.
Fuck. You're Calvin Johnson.
Oh fuck. The number 1 corner went down, and now the number 2 corner is the number 1 corner. That's the pick and roll. Oh no!
What's the coolest thing you ever did that no one actually saw? Do moments of cruelty count?
That's a good question. Dusty attempted to do a Norse code version of "We Didn't Start the Fire."
That's bad.
It went for a wow. Daily Norseman's new podcast, intro music from the past, Arif typing while he's talking, Christian Ponder sucks. Audible affiliates making maybe 50 cents, donate to our Patreon or give us on PayPal. 6-hour episodes, Christmas clips from other shows, win 100 Her Majesties on the Super Bowl. DFS tips that no one likes.
Whoa.
Arif gets a nicer mic. He never hits the mute button before he starts to type.
That's so good.
Teddy B, Anthony Barr, Laquan Treadwell, Brett Favre, Leslie Frazier met him in the airport at the car. We didn't know that Norse Code would have a Discord channel about Elden Ring. We didn't know the Norse Code would go on so long that it became a thing. Josh Dobbs, Heisman, Bradford, Keenum Cousins, Loch Ness Monster only asked for $350 a month. Playoff losses, wide left, non-contact injuries. Maybe one free agent signing won't be injured, please. Mailbag questions, coffee making, child labor, cookie baking. Is Dusty dead or merely faking? Good Christ, man. Dusty was going through it today.
Well, and you've got like a pretty strong opinion on what it takes to be good at calling it.
Again, as somebody who has done it before, right. I can do it and not enjoy it. I don't know how to explain that outside of marriage terms to you, but that is something that is something that can absolutely exist. Why are you highlighting the word aficionado in the show notes? I don't know what you're talking about. That is absolutely lit up. Unlight that up right now. Go and fix the highlight on. Why? Do not make it bolder and bigger. You are not help. And now it's red. All right, I'm going to move on. I voted already. All right, like I voted already. I don't care. That's what I what the fuck? That's what I've been telling the cold calls and the door knockers that have been coming to my door over the past week. I already voted. I don't care. I don't. Whatever is there. I'm
whatever you got going on in your little literature over here. I just don't need to. Whatever.
I literally put my I voted sticker on a thing next to the door. So
did that work? Did someone be like, all right, I'm not going to, there's no way that worked.
So what I did was I put it next to the door and I said, are you familiar with I told them, are you familiar with Passover? And they just went, what? And I went, this is my ram's blood. Please pass over my house.
It like right before you said this is my ram's blood, I was like, it instantly connected. I was like, oh, that's the red mark above your door. You fucking
just stay.
And like most Americans, I learned about this because of Rugrats.
Yes,
so.
Well, that's how that was how that was drawn up. One of the things that seems to happen on this show often is people like to ask the childless person questions on what to do with their children. As a result, Arif has a interesting point of view when it comes to raising your children. I had what I could only refer to as an Arif moment earlier this fall when I was forced to interact with you'll hear. I had an Arif moment today.
That sounds unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't recommend it.
What was it?
All right, so there's this guy that I haven't seen intentionally. I haven't seen in like 10 years. He used to be really good friends with somebody I dated and was like a roommate at one point. And like over the years, it just for whatever reason, everybody loves this guy and I fucking hate him. I cannot. I figured it out. Like we have too many personality traits that are similar, but he does this thing where he does this like stream of consciousness shit where he just never stops fucking talking. I'll let the conversation breathe. He will just plow through and pretend to be dumber than he is in order to like keep going. It just drives me fucking nuts.
He'll pretend to be dumber than he is to keep the conversation. Is that what you just said?
In order to like get a laugh and like keep it going. It's. I recognized it 15, 16 years ago. No, longer than that. Like 20 years ago. I recognized that was like that we should never be in the same room together. And I've done my best to make that a goal. However, his kid's in soccer. And inevitably, he sees me and he starts talking to me. And, oh, for fuck's sake. I'll pretend to be nice or whatever. Fine. He's got, I think he's got 3 kids, but he's got 2 kids that that I can confirm. One is, I'll edit this, is named...
What?
Yeah, that's the kind of guy we're dealing with.
Oh, God.
You have a kid named...
Why do you know enough people that have named their kids stupid shit after media?
Yep. Look, You name a child after a vampire movie, you get what you get. I don't know what to tell you, but I knew that way before Happy Gilmore. So there's that one, and then there's another boy that he has. Oh, again, these are both boys. I have no idea what the other boy's name is, but I should have taken a picture to send it to you. I couldn't. I may have actually accidentally gotten his head in a shot because of where he was sitting, but he can't be more than like 8 or 9. He had the most glorious mullet you've ever seen in your fucking life.
Oh, that rules.
Like with the little jagged thing down the side of the head, like he had that. But here's the thing there, Jethro. Not only did he have that, he had what I could only describe as was like a fidget spinner. But instead of being a fidget spinner, it was a switchblade knife that just had a knife that was like dull. So he just spent the entire time we were at the fucking soccer game flipping that around and occasionally hitting himself and going ow, but like it's not cutting him because it's not sharp. But he's just still fucking playing around. He's a goddamn 9-year-old sitting at a goddamn soccer game with a fucking mullet as glorious as fucking Joe Dirt's, and he's flipping around a goddamn switchblade. And I'm just sitting there just like and at one point he kept like standing up in his chair in a way that made it so I couldn't see. And I stood up at one point and I said to Jen, I was like, I'm gonna kick this kid in the fucking head. But I said it too loud so like other people turned to look and I had to go, no, see there's a kid on the other end of the soccer field playing with a ball and he's like gonna get into the field there. I was like so that's my Arif moment. That's my
I'm going to do harm to a child. No, it makes sense in context.
In context, look, I've been trying to watch my kid play, but I can't because in the way of my son is this mullet and a switchblade wielding 9-year-old. And I can't. It hurts. It hurts. And afterwards, Jenna, after people had left, Jen and I were sitting there waiting for my kid to come back with his stuff. And we both looked at each other, or she looked at me and went, I don't like to judge other parents. Like, it was about the kid with the mullet and the switchblade. Yeah. Don't worry. Here comes my rant. It's like, let me make you feel better about how much hate I was filled with during this game. And like, our team won. My son's team won. And at the same time, I'm sitting there just like seething.
And you were miserable.
I was. And we play them again one more time this year. I need that to be a time when I'm announcing. That's what I need. I need that to be a time when I can be a bad dad and choose work over my son's soccer game. So that I'm choosing mental health. I'm sorry, son. I can't. Dad can't always be there for you, and it's good for you to get that now, as opposed to as opposed to 10 years from now when you're asking for help with loans and stuff. Can't always be there for you. Email address belonging to Mark Robinson found on Ashley Madison. The retweet. Fun fact: my dad was a part of the Ashley Madison League, but he hasn't been married for decades, which means he was just on there for the love of the game.
Dog, it is so funny. It's so funny that Mark Robinson was involved in 2 separate scandals published by 2 different news organizations today. Mm-hmm. That's incredible efficiency.
Can you imagine turning to someone you've been hooking up with being like, I need to tell you something. I'm single. I'm kind of judging your dad. I can't imagine a worse betrayal than finding out your partner isn't also having an affair. Why does this feel like the reverse of the Pina Colada song?
Putting on a wedding ring so you can take it off.
Oh, fuck. I mean, if things go sideways with Jenna, I still have my ring. That's,
Yeah, there you go. See?
Oh, my God. Darling, I need to tell you something. I haven't been honest with you. Oh, no, I know you're having an affair. We met on Ashley Madison. About that.
I'll have to come clean.
We've been going to the seedy hotel just to
For no reason.
For no reason.
I'm keeping up the illusion.
I'm just building up my Marriott points at this point.
Look, I have a 3-bedroom house. One is a guest bedroom. It was completely unnecessary.
The story about the wife and the pool boy. There was no pool boy. There was no wife. Oh, who's that dickhead that got caught for that got caught for either child trafficking or sex trafficking in Romania because he had a pizza box.
Oh, Andrew Tate.
Yeah, it's like there is no wife. There's only Andrew Tate podcasts.
Oh man, that's nuts, dude.
Was Saleh fired for not being able to weather the London Blitz, even with a team of jets, or was it because of a toxic work environment due to chemtrails?
Jesus. That's a really good question. London Blitz is like a nice little feature to add into that question. Saleh was fired because he embarrassed the former ambassador to England.
or the Parent Trap thing. I want to throw out the Parent Trap thing as an outlier. It could be fun. It could be a very fun potential thing. Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like a really good question. Like, I don't know that there needs to be an answer, but toxic work environment, dude. This is really well orchestrated. Okay. Yeah, he was. I can't. It's so good. Replace that with voting. Vote for more bees. Which, by the way, also bee populations have been recovering for the past couple of years. Good news.
That is good news. Is it just the Italians, or is it like a mix of Russians?
I wouldn't know. I can't tell. I don't see bee color.
That's then you don't.
No, it's all yellow and black. That's it. Is that better?
I don't know if it's worse. And on that note, we're going to end because I'm not going to continue the mailbag after something like that. So that is going to be it for this episode of Norse Code. Hope you enjoyed it. James recently shared a story about an attempted maiming while DJing a wedding. Have the Norse Code hosts had any other narrowly avoided catastrophic injuries? So those of you who missed it, on Twitter, I had posted a story of how I was nearly struck by a. Should I just tell
Smooth
it?
Criminal.
Should I just? Yeah, exactly. should I just do it here too?
Yes, but I just for the context is that Luke's wife Nicole. It was her birthday the other day. What, 2 days ago? Right?
Yeah.
And she has expressed an appreciation for James's wedding stories, which makes sense. They rule. And so while Luke had asked for pictures of pets for Nicole for her birthday, James was like, I know of a perfect gift, tailor-made for you. It is another wedding story. Mm-hmm. So that's the context. Anyway, I think you should just tell it.
And I did show my fish in the background at one point, so I mean, that counted.
Yeah, so it's a pet. Yeah.
So here's what happened. I was DJing a wedding at a place that's no longer in existence in Grand Forks, North Dakota. And
you do.
I actually confirmed this with the other guy that was there. I tagged him on Twitter, and he agreed that that's what happened.
Is that the guy because you said Rob? Is that the Rob I know?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay.
No, this was somebody different. But I did confirm it with the other DJ who saw it before I did. So I was DJing this wedding over at this hotel at the base of the Demers Bridge in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Had to be winter of 2002, I want to say, January. It was about like 2001, 2002, I forget which. So we are doing this wedding. And
Post 9/11 pre-Iraq. Got it.
let's do that. Wow. All right. So if we're gonna,
if you want a mood check on,
yeah, let's go with that. Especially with the story I told during the D&D or after the D&D session. So I'm doing this wedding, and I have somebody who's working the wedding with me. He's just on the mic the entire time. I'm just handling all the music. Great relationship. We did that for a long time, and I've just played the YMCA. We're about 2.5 hours into the dance. People are loaded from the open bar, and the groomsman comes up and is like, "Play it again, play it again." I had just played YMCA. Play it again. I was like, I'm not playing YMCA a second time. It's a 5-minute song. It's a 5-minute song, but I'm not doing this. No, but no human should ever play YMCA twice in a row for a wedding.
This is no Tom Waits.
Yeah, what Tom Waits song are you playing at a wedding?
No. It's or actually, I think it might have been Tom Jones. It's the John Mulaney joke.
Yeah, that's Tom Jones.
Yeah, my bad.
I'm just envisioning the theme song to Peaky Blinders being played multiple times at a wedding. Like, why would you do that? That's amazing. Actually, for a now that I'm thinking about it, if you were doing an announcement for the bridal party, like arriving and like the individual couples coming in, that song might not be terrible. But that's just
okay. But that song 40 times?
No, that's a terrible idea. But yeah, so the guy was upset that I wasn't going to play YMCA a second time, so he storms off. I get called away by I'm still at the table. I'm looking away because I have somebody who's come up to give me a request, and when that happens, the groomsman that I just said no to had picked up a chair and had folded it and was about to take a swing right at me. WWF style, was ready to take my head off. And this bridesmaid,
again, as you do,
as you do, this bridesmaid saw what was happening, walked over, and in one fluid motion, grabbed him, put chair down, opened it up to put it down, and took him out onto the dance floor and started dancing. Never had a problem for the rest of the night with them. He got distracted by the bridesmaid when he wanted to take my head off.
If I were in his situation, which I honestly,
were you a violent man?
Right. I'm probably not there unless it's Luke Braun. If he's DJing wedding, chairs everywhere, right? Other than that, probably not going to happen. But if I'm in that situation, hey, you're not playing Closing Time. What song would I care that much about?
I'm just imagining you being upset they're not playing Lady in Red twice. That's Arif's jam, and we both know it. So I see it out of the corner of my eye.
I'm just saying I would also be distracted by a bridesmaid doing that. Yeah, I would be enthralled by that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna leave that one alone. But the guy who was with me noticed it before I did and was trying to get the words out to say, "Hey, James, look out! That guy's gonna try to get your head off," because he's on the other side of me. He's on my right. The guy who is about to swing the chair is on my left. I look up just in time to see the full, like the bridesmaid move and like grab chair and take out to the dance floor. Like that moment.
That's incredible.
Oh my God. That was terrifying. So, Yeah,
I mean, bridesmaids are like superheroes or supervillains, right? Like it's that they gain powers during weddings.
yeah. There's very few neutral
Yeah.
bridesmaids. It seems like every year there is a new running joke, a new bit that the show has to deal with, and in the past it's been magic, or it's been curses, baby witches, all of that. Sometimes it's bees, sometimes it's lamps, all of that. But sometimes it's Avril / Melissa. This year it was absolutely the year of the sumo, and here's where it all started.
For Arif Sumo Corner, am I actually answering this one this time? Because last time that was in the show notes, and then I actually like did the reading, and I read about it, and then you deleted it, and I didn't want to be like, no, bring that back.
James, there was a question here that I had done research on about sumo wrestling. Can you put that back in here? Please?
Yeah, I read through it and I was like, holy fuck. And I was like prepped, ready to go. I'd read like 2 articles. They did like some background research. I was ready to just go. I've not retained any of that knowledge. And also, none of that, even if I did retain that knowledge, none of that appears in this question. This is a whole new set of Rishiki. Like I'm glad I remember the name for a sumo wrestler.
Well, I think the best thing that can do now, or that can happen now, is you spend time researching this, and then I'm going to delete the question again.
Fuck you.
That seems like everyone wins here. You get slightly more cultured on Japan and things that they do there, since you're avoiding the whole anime thing, and this works out.
No, I'm
trying to help.
I spent too much energy. We can't be doing this.
Okay, so I asked the question, then you explain why we're not answering it. That will be funny. Yeah. So I was going to answer this question like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Unfortunately, James deleted the question. I had actually done the research on it too.
Time.
Yeah, we're not. I can't. It's gonna be like Andy Dufresne, where he gets like a check from the State House, and he's like, "I'm gonna write twice as much now." I have been encouraged. You get that question in twice a mailbag? It'd be great.
Sure. So first of all, my condolences that you lived with a Patriots fan, and to you, and then my condolences to your wife that she's becoming a Vikings fan. I feel like she experienced happiness and you never did, and now it's your job to make sure she doesn't, and that's marriage. Yes. Yeah.
If you didn't say it, I was going to.
Right. I think that, so normally it is evil and also murder to cut the brakes to a car, right? But here's the deal. You're going to be the one driving the car. She's just in it with you. I think that's probably
confident that's a crime.
It is. It's just like, it's just a little different. No, it's certainly a crime.
It's just a different classification.
Right. It feels a different kind of evil than to like, your wife has a car, you have a car, you cut the brakes to your wife's car, right? That's like a murder off screen. You're too much of a coward to even confront it, right? Like, okay, great. But it's your own car and you take her somewhere, that's a totally different class. And she's realizing that the brakes are cut. There's nothing you can do about it as you're approaching an intersection, and you're in there with her. You're in this together. It's bad. No one knows the brakes are cut unless you tell her, which don't do that. That's going to ruin the illusion. It's just bad. And the thing is, when you don't know what's wrong,
astonishing.
When you don't know what's wrong with the car, it feels like when you're spinning out, maybe there's a way to like get around this, steer out of it, whatever. So you can't tell her that you cut the brakes. So she's going to keep believing.
Brakes.
Yeah. She's going to keep believing until the end, when the belief isn't going to help you anymore. Do you have a less deadly version of what I said?
Have her sit down and watch the secret base video series, and with you.
No, that's better. Actually, that's better than mine. Yeah,
that will have you catch charges far later in your in your marriage. Several winters ago, you recommended I get my wife a Peloton for Christmas, which she did not appreciate.
Winters ago.
many seasons ago, you suggested I get my wife a Peloton for Christmas, which she did not appreciate, as she was 36 weeks pregnant at the time. Well, we are done having kids now, and it's been 20 months since that disastrous recommendation. What do you think I should get my wife for her birthday this month?
I mean, there's only one answer here, right? Gotta be the Peloton.
I was going to ask if their check is cleared. We're going to be recommending that.
It's like a second Peloton.
A second one?
Yeah. A second Peloton has hit the wife.
We just want a second Peloton. It's like the shrubberies in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. We're gonna put them up, like we're gonna have one a little bit like raised and have a nice little path between the two, like.
Exactly. Start using them as like it's like sculpture, right? Decor. But you still pay the subscription fee.
You can, some people go out and get 18-foot tall skeletons for the backyard. I say hogwash. Stack those Pelotons up.
But yeah, if you don't want to get a second Peloton, because how is she going to use two? That's fair. I understand. I mean, she's active now, right? I can't think of anything more exciting aside from a Peloton than a vacuum cleaner. I feel like that would go over really well.
Wow.
Preferably, if Silicon Valley has invented a subscription vacuum cleaner, that one.
And not a Roomba. Not something that would like make things easier that you wouldn't have to do and you could schedule. No, can't be a Roomba. It has to be a push one.
Well, I mean, like, where's the fun in that for her? Like, you can't be an active participant in that activity with a Roomba.
Nope, you don't win friends with salad. That's for sure. It's remarkable the amount of mental gymnastics that you go through for this.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Truly is spectacular. Need to get you a Crunchyroll subscription. Let's go.
What is that? Is that like Netflix?
Who knows? Like, I didn't even say that it was a streaming service. For all you know, it could have been a food subscription.
I don't know.
For all you know, it could have been a food box thing. You seem to be going through them a lot lately. Speaking of divorces, by the way.
Oh no, what a sentence this is.
Speaking of divorces, I sent you a link that you may have seen already. It's about divorce registries becoming a thing. Divorce registries are becoming a thing, according to a number of different articles and TV presentations I've seen over the past 2 days. I saw this. And apparently it is becoming in vogue in certain areas to have a divorce registry to help you start over. So you're trying to get gifts from people to begin your life and then to re-begin your life. Here's my take on it. As the most divorced man that you know, let me just say that I'm not opposed to this paper.
I don't hate the idea. I don't like, the only issue I have, so your take is going to matter a lot more than mine. The only issue I have is that it feels like we're celebrating, and maybe that, like, for a lot of people it is celebratory, but to have a blanket understanding that it's a celebration is interesting to me. But you're losing half the stuff that you use. So yeah, I get it. Okay, so you said on paper, so there's something.
So, on paper, this seems fine. However, if you're asking me to buy you a new blanket, I'm gonna want to see the divorce papers to see who is responsible. Because if you were the one who fucked the mailman, I'm not why am I helping with your dumbassery?
Right. Yeah.
I'm
But
gonna need details at the top of that Target registry.
So that's the issue, right? I think that primarily is it, right? Because like, if you open a registry, you don't want to disclose that it was your fault. So there has to be some kind of, we have to come to an understanding that the text at the top of the divorce registry is also something that's agreed upon in court.
Yeah. I'm going to need. I remember back in the day when I worked at Amazon and we had to do the, they would load the baby registries onto Amazon, and it was a giant pain in the ass doing it in the store to make it go online. And, but there was like a paperwork and like a handshake involved on the back end. I'm just imagining the Minnesota court like handshake in order to go on to like Target.com's registry site or something like that. Like, yep, this is certified from the state of Minnesota. This is the official divorce paperwork. All right, let's get her some Pyrex. It was clearly this was not anyone's fault. They both just agreed they couldn't make it work. No one was sleeping with a Vikings intern.
I think getting voluntary certification for your divorce registry would be good. Like, just like have an investigator go through the divorce registry, and if you signed up to be voluntarily, and they like give the stamp of approval, so you could say
a notary could do this.
Yeah, exactly. So like, this divorce registry is notarized, so you're always going to be suspicious of a non-notarized divorce registry. Like, this feels like
I am always going to be suspicious of a non-notarized divorce registry. Always, actually. See, I'm just coming up with more things Erin can do. She's absolutely she was a notary. I'm just giving her more work. So she can't say that she's bored. She's got more work going out and making sure everyone's divorce is legit.
I feel like giving her more work is like your general attitude.
That's none of your goddamn business. All right, show notes. Yeah, obviously. Also from Tank B, for Arif's We Live in a Society corner, I was recently requested to join an AI council for the company I work for. My boss, who likes me and does not think highly of the current use of LLMs that are being portrayed as artificial intelligence, made the observation that as a developer for the platform our company works the most out of it, it was important to have awareness of any conversations regarding it and to attempt to, quote, guide it in a way that made sense, end quote. Off the record, however, the words torpedo and glorious failure may have been used. In what way can I best, quote, guide it in a way that makes sense, end quote, until it is abandoned without immediately losing my job?
Holy crap. Okay.
It should also be noted that he is being referred to on the Discord now as Think Tank B. And from your laugh, I'm going to assume you approve. There was a question about that, so yes.
That's wonderful. What are you talking about?
That I'm just gonna move on and go to Don from Ohio, who asks, what should Ohio do now that we will have an overabundance of dogs and cats in our state going forward? This is my favorite election tweet, or really election question. It was going to make it regardless.
That's so funny.
That's quite good. Arif Hassan. Arif, that game was absolutely atrocious until the snow started falling. Then it went from awful to fantastic. We need a button to push on terrible Thursday night games to make them weather. I don't care if there is a dome or not. We need to let it snow.
Well, the dome would make it easier to do that, right? Because then you'd have the infrastructure in place to make it snow. So yeah, no, 100%.
That game was unwatchable in the first half.
Someone, once in a while, someone texted me like, I missed the game. Should I rewatch it? And I was like, on paper, you should, right? Like it was exciting. Yeah. It was like the last couple of minutes were really decisive. You had a bunch of really interesting, cool plays, a bunch of swings back and forth. The snow looked beautiful, but no, I don't think you should rewatch it.
No, that's one of those live television moments. Not one that you rewatch, unless you decide that what you should do is instead of having like for fun during the holiday season, you have like a fireplace up on the TV, like either Netflix or YouTube or whatever. Instead of having that, you just replay this, like the second half of this game on the TV. I'd be okay with that. I feel like that should get you in the festive spirit. But yeah, I can't imagine sitting and rewatching this. If it were somehow worse than this, and it crossed into the line of that famous Monday night game that you and I like to talk about, that was the Dolphins and the Steelers, where the ball stuck into the ground on the punt. Like, if it crossed to that point, then you could rewatch it. But otherwise, no. And not even rewatching it this year. Like, rewatching a couple of years from now, like, hey, remember that time that Jameis Winston scored the touchdown? It fell backwards into the end zone and broke part of his helmet off and was dangling in front of him as he threw a 2-point conversion?
That was insane, yeah.
And no one acknowledged it until after the commercial, after the 2-point was scored. I sat there and went, is no one going to talk about the thing dangling literally in front of his face mask?
Yeah, it went over his eye for a second, too. Like, the swing, like, it just, like, covered one of his eyes. Which, like, feels like it couldn't happen to any other quarterback but Jameis, right? Like, that was...
Yeah.
This was, like, a very Jameis game. I did tweet this out and people got mad about it, but I was like, so they're at, like, the 38. And on 3rd and 10, and Jameis throws a pick with like 4 minutes left. They're down 1 point. So I tweeted out, being in field goal range, down 1 point, and throwing a pick is extremely Jameis. And I had a bunch of, it was mostly Browns fans. I had a bunch of people who were like, that's not field goal range. That's 55 yards. I'm like, yep, that is, yeah.
Yeah, actually.
They're like, in the snow. And I was like, oh, come on.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, I get, like, and they're like 20-mile-per-hour winds. And did you see that punt? It only went 16 yards. And it's like, okay, well, you got to make up your mind because the punt was going the other direction. So was the wind going to help the field goal? Or what are you saying now? Because the punt's going the opposite direction.
Semantics for like the sake of semantics. Just
shut
up and enjoy the fact that
it's funny.
Yeah,
he threw a pick and field. It's funny. Let it be funny.
This is absolutely a Jameis thing to do. Is for him to go out and say that he's a much better quarterback now because he got LASIK, and now he's throwing to receivers that he can't see because he's throwing in a blizzard. Like,
right? Yeah. Which this was a really great test of his vision, right? Because he had to see through the battery of the radio in his helmet.
And
that was a great throw, by the way.
And for the record, I felt very bad for, of all people, Russell Wilson there for a moment, as I made the realization at the end of the third quarter that he was throwing into just god-awful snow, just blasting him in the face, to white shirts. He was throwing to white jerseys. He could only see like their helmets and their gloves at that point. You see nothing in this kind of weather, and he's trying to throw up the ball to white jerseys. Like, they should have been allowed at halftime to switch to black. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I don't know how much that would have helped. I mean, Al Michaels couldn't tell the difference between white and black.
Nope. That was a player thing, Arif. He also couldn't see brown on the field, if we're going to go that route, because he couldn't see where the ball was going during the kicks. I did have to take the ref's word for it that the kicks were going through the uprights, but...
That was awesome. We had no clue whether the ball was going through the uprights. Which, by the way, when I tweeted at the Jameis tweet, people were like, "You can't even see where the ball is going." I was like, "That doesn't matter. Ball just has to go 55 yards."
Yep.
It sounds like it doesn't even matter where it goes. Sounds like you're infinite field goal range, really.
I just imagine the two refs looking at each other, shrugging and putting their arms up, like, sure. My favorite Arif story of the year, as far as his writing is concerned, was the Porn House. Well, it was the Draft Network thing, but in particular, the Porn House section of the Draft Network piece that he had put out. It's fantastic. I urge you to read it. It got retweets from just about everyone, including Ian Rappaport. It is so good. But the section on the porn house is especially good. And this next clip actually has parts of a story where he was talking about an 11th hour edition that he had to make and all of the little edits he had to do, confirmations, all of that, because there was so much going on that people forgot to mention, oh yeah, did we talk about the cocaine at the house? Did we talk about the stripper pole that had to come down so we could like have it, have the shot right? Or the guy in the back the owner who was sitting out in the back with the prostitute? All of that. So enjoy this bit of Arif talking about the craft of writing about the Draft Network.
The night before, I'm like, okay, well, I don't see like on the 19th, right? The piece releases on the 20th. On the 19th, I don't have a response. I'm like, okay, well, I'll just write in this paragraph where I don't get a response. And I'm beginning to have conversations with a lot of the sources that helped me kind of build the story. And before I'd submitted to my editor, I had submitted the sections of the story that their information helped produce so I can have them fact check it, right? I'm like, hey, here you say this, or here, I need to know that you were on staff when this happened and that this occurred, right? Here, someone said that you said this, but I didn't hear that from you. Is this true? That kind of stuff, right? And somebody came back to me and was like, oh my gosh, this like really, this like reading all of this kind of together, all of these like little paragraphs together, takes me back. I mean, I can't even believe that there was cocaine at the house. And I was like, what? Excuse me? And it's like, that's not in the piece. He's just like, God, it takes me back. God, remember when there was cocaine at the house? I'm like, what are you talking about? I've never heard of this. And it's the night before publish. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So I'm like, okay, I got to text everybody, right? Because I can't just like put it in because the one guy was like, nah, remember the cocaine? So I'm like, okay. So I'm like texting. I'm like, geez, was there a story about cocaine you forgot to tell me? Like a great text to send to somebody at like midnight, right?
If you weren't on a government list, you are now, sort of thing. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, what do you mean? Oh yeah. That is extremely memorable. We had an hour-long conversation and you didn't bring this up at all. And they're like, well, yeah, the porn house was kind of like overwhelming, right? And I was like, I get it. But this is a reason that it's overwhelming, right? Like you understand that is I would have led with that actually. And they're like, yeah. And I was like, well, okay, well, I got a couple of details about how it was discovered and what it was and whatever. I'm not going to tell you the detail. Tell me what your experience with the cocaine was. And they were like, oh, okay, well, we found it in bags inside the patio. And I was like, okay, that matches the other story. Great. I've got like 3 people telling me this cocaine story is real. I can put it in the piece. And then I was like, hey, none of you took any pictures of the cocaine, did you? And they're like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, yeah, I understand. I get it, but I had to ask. Okay, great. And then somebody was like, yeah, man, did so-and-so tell you the story about the office chairs? And I was like, you can't be telling me. I had 3 conversations with you. 3. You can't be telling me this now. It's go time in 4 hours. Like
my
you can't be doing
favorite
this.
part of the piece is about the office chairs. I
right?
cannot every time. I cannot even.
And it wasn't in the original version of the piece at all. It's 4 hours before go time. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And he's like, oh, yeah, so-and-so didn't tell you about the office chairs. Well, this is like what, this is what happened. And I was like, what? Well, okay, it's like kind of interesting that like the office chairs didn't arrive and you had to put it together. And like, maybe I'll put that in the piece, right? I don't know. And so I like text so-and-so, right? I'm like, hey, office chairs? What's going on here with the office chairs? And he's like, oh, yeah, that was crazy because we had to take apart a stripper pole. And I was like, what? What?
So basically you're saying that while you were putting this story together, it was the equivalent of Luke Braun listening to one of my stories and being like, no, wait, stop. Yeah. I need to write this down. What are you talking about?
I was like, this is, I'm like, okay, well, that's okay. We've confirmed the office chair thing, and I don't even know if I needed to do that because I don't even know if that's going to be in the story. But now that there's a stripper pole involved, which nobody mentioned in the whole, I had 8 conversations about the porn house. No one mentions the stripper pole at all. 6 people mentioned the porn wall. Totally understandable, very visible. I get it. That was a stress point. Okay, fine. No one mentions the stripper pole, like, at all.
It's a load-bearing porn wall.
Yeah, right. You can't take it down otherwise. But yeah, I'm like, okay, great, okay, cool. So now I got to ask about, and so like I'm going back and forth, and they're like, oh yeah, but actually we did use the lights, and I was like, oh Jesus Christ. So they give me a picture of the lights being used, and I'm like, well, okay, I can't use this picture because it'll de-anonymize you, but this is a great photo. I'm glad you have it. So I have to like go to the live stream again and pick out so these are like last minute details that were like a big part of the story, like really taking off, like really, really taking off. And these occur in like the 11th hour, right? Like I've been working on this for like 3 months, and it's like, okay, well, here's a bunch of new, and like, I got a bunch of details, and some of them I couldn't confirm, right? So there's like other stuff that like didn't make it into the piece that I'm just like, okay, well, if you could have told me this like a month ago when I talked to you, or 2 months ago when I first talked to you, that would have been really phenomenal stuff. There's like, you know how in the piece was like these pull quotes about the way people are talking about, the CEO. Some of them I had to pull out because they were like, oh, I used that exact phrase with her, so she would know that was me. I'm like, that's so funny, I can't use it. Like, I mean, these are crazy explosive quotes to be using about a person who still has that job, right? And would not like, I named this person as being bad at their job is like a crazy thing to like have a quote about, right? So I had to like take some of these explosive quotes out. So it was like a weird story that I had to like run down. And some of these people I'm talking to in person at the Combine, some of these people at the Combine are giving me tips. So I talked to somebody at the Combine that was never employed by the Draft Network that was like, hey, I've been talking to these guys for like a while, and like these are the things that I've heard that maybe, it'll help you run down some stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, great. Which is how I got in contact with one of the vendors that helped confirm some details and had mentioned that they had missed out on payments. There was a freelancer that was missing out on tens of thousands of dollars that talked to me at the Combine. It was like great to have like all of this, like, oh, this travel is like worth it because it's getting me, more confirmation of this, and it's kind of building up this background of, all of that. Great, fine. But like so the bones of the piece are built over these like 2-3 months of like on the ground journalism, I guess. Like it's very weird because I don't like do this, but like, it's like, oh, I'm like building a case and I'm building a timeline, and I've got this timeline going in a document that I can turn into the piece or whatever. And then all of these details just come out in the last, like, and offhand, they weren't like, oh, you should include this. It was like, man, that takes me back. Like, I
love the retweets from the people who were at the house who were like, I didn't even know about the sex toys.
Yeah. Like, Malik Willis's quarterback, private quarterback coach Quincy Avery was like, wow, I was there. I didn't know about that at all. Right. And it's like, yeah, man, if you went left instead of right or something, you would have opened up a closet and there would have been the sex toys and maybe cocaine. I don't know where they put it.
Just like, a surprising amount everywhere.
Yeah. Just nuts, which like, there's like the porn house only constitutes genuinely a very small portion of the story. There's so much in the story that like the whole idea was that there'd be, this history of the website and what it means for like draft Twitter and stuff like that. And there's like a lot of characterizations of draft Twitter I left out because, it wasn't one monolithic thing. There's a lot of people that didn't like the Draft Network guys that were in draft Twitter. There's a lot of people that loved what draft Twitter was doing. The people that didn't like what draft Twitter was doing, people that loved what draft Twitter was doing, but also like TDN, all, I didn't want to spend too much time there, but there's like a building kind of, this is why this website is important. And here are kind of these early stumbling blocks. And here's kind of the early warning signs. I'm trying to build in, hey, we saw some signs about how this would go kind of early on. the stuff in the porn house is salacious, right? It's like eye popping, right? It's crazy. It's also like not the wrong that the CEO committed necessarily. Like it was irresponsible to book that house, obviously, right? But like the 3 or 4 additional details don't really like reinforce that any more than the initial detail, right? But it is like a crazy thing that kind of represents how fly by night the whole operation turned out to be at that point, which was in 2022, I think. Yeah, 2022.
Let's go to Andrew, who asks, if this turns out to be Darnold's worst game of the year, are the Vikings going to the NFC Championship game?
If this is the worst he can do, yeah. Yep. Set up the parade route.
somebody last episode ended up putting where should we do the parade route, and I was like, it's too small to do it in just Minneapolis, St. Paul, Bloomington. No, you need to do the entire state. Take 35 up to Duluth, take Highway 2 over to Crookston, take 75 down to Moorhead, and take 94 back down to the cities. Like that is where the parade route goes. It's been too long. This is how it works. The whole state gets to enjoy this, not just the Twin Cities area. Like, I don't care if you're speeding by for like 2 seconds and like throwing candy or waving. Like, you're gonna make a day or so out of this. Be fantastic. Damian Barrett asks a slightly more horrifying question.
How is that more horrifying?
If the Vikings were to adopt an edible mascot, what should they choose and why? Okay,
I understand why you said that was more horrifying. I feel like we got to ask your stepson here. I feel like he's the subject matter expert.
Yeah, we're not. There's nothing that you could pay me to go over there and ask my ex-wife for an opinion. No, that's not going to happen.
Is your son around? I need something from him. It's important for the podcast.
Yeah, a conversation that would go well. No. You know what? I'm actually good with the Pop-Tart thing. I think that we could do a hell of a lot
because you could
worse.
do the different colors. It'd be the Wildberry Pop-Tart, right?
Like this is totally fine. And sure, it would get old like within 3 weeks. I don't care. The Pop-Tart wants to be eaten. I feel like
it's just like the Restaurant at the End of the Universe, the second Douglas Adams book, where you meet your meat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's actually, that's exactly what this is. we actually have reached the restaurant at the end of the universe. Huh. Well, that really puts this season into perspective, doesn't it? Until Arif admits that he either has watched or is starting to watch anime, please welcome Draw Play Dave. Hi, Dave. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me back on. It's always nice to come on here and just poke Arif with a stick. Just repeatedly jab him in the sides. Just like find like the most sensitive rib and just like keep poking it.
Do you have a power ranking of my ribs?
Not that you're going to find out.
I will.
Those are trade secrets.
I will admit that Arif's very nice anniversary post on Wide Left that was really in depth and really personal about his struggles and things that he deals with on a daily basis, and the joy he's found in writing over the past year has made it harder to bully him. But I'm willing to push through for the bit. So we are going to push through on this.
How big of you? Wow, that's so magnanimous.
This is as selfless as I get. Is
overcoming the obstacles of empathy and kindness.
Yes, the Norse code story. Why is that? Why is that some form of a surprise?
The most important part of overcoming struggle is making sure you continue to have a struggle to overcome, and that's what we're here for.
Thank you.
It's the hero's journey.
My next year anniversary will just be dealing with you two. That's what the mental health section will be about.
I don't know why.
We're just part of your anime protagonist arc.
Oh my god.
So about this,
we're some villains along the path towards your redemption. Like you just gotta figure out the weaknesses and rise above.
So
this might make more sense if you watch anime.
Yeah, about the anime thing. You've posted you've had two posts about it. The Discord absolutely loves it, and as many people have enjoyed them on Twitter as well. what's the plan for the next drawing that we can expect?
Probably Sailor Moon.
What?
I mean, look, I've done 2 easy male characters. I gotta do like a cute kawaii girl at some point, right? Like that's half of the genre.
Can I make one request that I think you will regard as reasonable?
Okay.
Can the skirt be at least knee length or longer?
Not if the character's design doesn't have that.
Oh, yeah, okay. You use reference art a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah, wants to be true to the story.
That has to be true to the source material. Like, I'm not going to show anything, but yes, the skirt will be of character appropriate length according to design.
Then I will make a second request relevant to that. And again, I haven't watched anime, so let me be clear about the nature of my request is because of my friends who've watched anime. There are 2 releases of Sailor Moon. One from the 90s that a lot of people love and remember, and one from, 2 years ago that a lot of people hate. Can it be the one from the 90s?
Oh yeah. The new one, I have seen them both. I watched the original Sailor Moon when it was on Toonami with Dragon Ball Z back when I was a kid. I did briefly look at the one that came out several years ago, and it's not the same. It doesn't work.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were, again, I haven't watched, a lot of people were excited that it's going to actually be as gay as the Japanese version was. But the rest, I guess, was so terrible that it kind of didn't matter that they were open about some of these characters actually being gay in the Japanese version. It was just too awful. Also, the character designs look ugly, right?
From what I can tell, the newest one was actually like more accurate to the manga that it would spawn from. But the original had like a lot of like the original like worked on like those cartoon sort of principles with, so you had like a lot of episodes per season, and you'd have like filler episodes where you'd kind of like reuse a lot of animation and stuff like that. So they'd come up
better
with, like,
suited to the medium.
But yeah, like especially to the time where they would just like, hey, have these little stories. And like that was a lot of the charm of the show with all these little episodes where it's just like Monster of the Week, where it was just like the kids, like the girls, like interacting and being friends and then fighting a monster. Whereas like the new one was actually following the plot, and the plot's honestly not that interesting.
There is no point.
Say that about a lot of things.
Yeah, that as a matter of fact, yes. That's what I was saying today when I was literally drinking the consomme from the beer.
What's the point?
There's a medicine I take twice a day, and I got my Iberia.
James, what have we said about calling alcohol medicine?
No. So I take, there were 2 pills I needed to take at 7:45. Yeah, sure. So I looked down and realized I had misjudged my water situation terribly. So I had like a drop or 2 of water, but I still had most of my Iberia consomme. So I made an executive decision.
Naturally.
I drank the remaining 2 drops of water, and then when that proved ineffective for the pill that required water, I did drink some Beria consomme in order to make that work. Now, I will also say I have taken at least 3 Tums, and I think it's directly related to because there was this great Drew McGarry tweet about how he made his steak so delicious he was going to eat all the juices he was going to drink all the juices on his plate, and then 2 hours later wrote, "In ER, do not do this." Like, worst heartburn of my life. Somebody had asked what Dusty had was asked a question about why wasn't X covered, and it was a bunch of Super Bowl props, and Dusty's response was, "I remember when I would read reviews and emails, the number one complaint we got was that the shows weren't long enough." And Room Bull Sharif asked, "What's the current number one complaint?" My response was, "How distractingly handsome the hosts are." But it's an audio format. You can still tell.
we have handsome energy. I think everyone agrees.
I said, look, Cat Williams referred to someone as big on the radio once, and I felt that, so... Whatever. You know what? I don't even fucking care. I'm tired of your shit. I'm tired of your shit. I'm tired of your sarcasm. I bring nothing but joy and love into this episode.
Oh, go fuck
All
yourself.
you
Fuck
do
you.
is just bring this fucking hateful bitch shit that you have. Fucking tired of it.
Yeah, eat shit. So,
This is the fucking negativity I'm fucking talking about. I'm sitting here praising the talent.
Okay,
I am
this
praising
was,
the talent.
Okay. You know the phrase backhanded compliment doesn't even begin to encompass what you just did.
Oh my god.
Okay?
Fuck.
You just compared me to one of the most disappointing wins in recent Vikings history,
Oh,
okay?
fuck
Please don't.
off. And
So,
you know what? You've
anyway.
been misspelling gaslighting for years. I just need to point that out. Have I told the story of the cocaine on the tables that's coffee creamer at my wedding reception? I forget if I've told that story.
No, but also the flower cocaine thing is... Now that I've dealt with multiple cocaine addicts in my life, like that's just
A little too spot on.
it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. I gotta tell you, but that's not going to work.
So, on the apologies if I've told this story before, but it's about as good as we get for stories of James's wedding. So, my lovely ex-wife forced this wedding to happen much sooner than anyone would have wanted, including myself. I was fighting it because I thought that we couldn't get, engaged in May and married in October. I thought that was an impossibility, but she willed this thing into existence until the week of, when her lupus just went, "You're not getting out of bed." And the rest of us had to make all of this work and then deal with the fact that she was an insane person. Much more visibly to everyone else than usual. And we were going to have coffee at the reception, obviously. And I had a Sam's Club membership, and we ended up picking up a bunch of like non-dairy creamer for coffee. And we were going to put them at the tables. But instead of like packets, my mom, bless her heart, just got one big container and then just proceeded to pour it into like bowls and put each bowl onto the individual like tables, and put a gold spoon in the middle of all of these bowls, and it looked like something else. And my ex-wife was furious about this, thought it was just the most ridiculous thing. And I'm sitting here going, look, if you wanted any of this to look good or like work, you needed to get out of bed. Like, I'm sorry. I'm going to be an asshole about your lupus for a moment, because there are a lot of stuff that got like conveniently not done over the course of our relationship and marriage due to that. Like, yeah, I'm sorry. If you were like stuck in bed like Brian Wilson did, like I can't. There's only so much pity I have for like complaining that, I hate the fact that this was all done incorrectly when I couldn't, pick up a phone and tell you how you wanted it or anything like that. So apparently I should have just known that it was not okay to have things look like cocaine at a wedding reception.
How unreasonable.
It was my mom's fault too. I was just like, I don't know what to tell you. She just did this. Like, your mom's an idiot. It's like, fine, but like that doesn't fix anything here.
Right, yeah. Okay, there's like so many situations that I think this is like how I know I'm like older now, is like there's so many situations where people are just so focused on whose fucking fault shit is. And it's like, I just want to know how to fix this. I don't really truly give a shit.
Yeah.
Whose fault? Like, I could not care less.
Well, my buddy's wedding last year was a perfect example of that. They were like, well, all the groomsmen got conscripted into like putting shit together. And I was like, you guys go have fun. I'm way too hungover for this. I'm going to go sleep in the in the barn for about an hour or two. You guys figure it out. Let me know when you
just
need
like
tall
Brian
people
Wilson
help.
did.
Yeah. Angry skyscraper noises. I'll help put this thing up. I asked ChatGPT before the show,
Oh, no.
can you give me a summary and a name for a musical about someone that has their Kia car stolen and a few song titles?
What?
The name of the musical, Carnapped. Carnapped follows the story of Arif, an enthusiastic young adult who loves their quality Kia.
Young. Well, at least I'm young.
Yeah. Throughout the vibrant musical, Arif's life takes an unexpected turn when their beloved car is stolen, leading them on a comedic and heartfelt adventure. With the help of quirky friends, a love interest who shares a passion for cars, and a bumbling detective, Arif sets out to reclaim their vehicle.
Let me tell you how bumbling this detective is. He's one of the car thieves.
Yes, actually. That's how that works out. Along the way, they discover the importance of community, friendship, and self-discovery, all while navigating a world where every twist and turn hits a high note.
Sorry, did ChatGPT say that I discover the importance of self-discovery?
Well, yes, actually, I think it did. Yes,
okay.
That is literally what happened. I love it. No notes, ChatGPT. Suggested song titles: Kicking the Tires, Stolen Dreams.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
The Great Escape from the...
Okay.
It says from the parking lot, but let's just have this be from the tow lot.
Yeah. That's close enough. Yeah.
Find My Ride, Driving on Empty Without You, Keys to My Heart, Chase the Thief, and Carpool Karaoke: The Reunion.
I'm going to tell you something after the show that you're going to find extremely funny related to that. Unfortunately, it cannot be in the show.
This musical combines comedy, drama, and catchy tunes to entertain audiences of all ages.
I contest that framing. I don't think that's entertaining, actually.
You don't think Carnapped is the next big thing?
Okay, so one problem with this musical, the car seemingly only gets stolen once. So that's the first thing. Jot that down.
Well, no. Well, first of all things are possible through Christ, and jot that down. Nowhere in this does it say that's a plot twist. It's that you're just giving away like parts of the story at this point. You're the bad trailer. This is the good trailer. This is the good trailer that doesn't tell you, oh, it gets stolen a second time. That's to me, that's where
the all is lost moment.
That's the Carpool Karaoke: The Reunion portion.
No, that can't be. We can't have it end on a tragedy. Jesus, I think that's the all is lost moment. I think the first theft is the reluctant call to action for the hero or whatever it's called, right? The hero has to, which I assume, I'm being kind of liberal with the word hero. In this context, it means protagonist, right? There are no heroes in this story.
Driving on empty, in quotations.
So that one's good. Okay. By the way, I did have to drive on what is functionally empty, not fuel, but coolant, before any of these thefts, right? I told the story on the podcast before, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's like one of the so that actually does work really well. The car did stall on the highway. That which, lovely. I love that for me. For people who have not listened to any of this before, I had an awful car. It was even worse than I thought. It got stolen twice, one time by the cops. You're going to have to catch up somehow. There you go. I don't like this.
I think this is the next great thing. And Minneapolis being such a great musical theater town, I feel like I could bounce this around to a couple people. One of my favorite things that we did this year was I went down to Minneapolis and Arif and I went and watched The Beekeeper. It's one of my favorite things that we did this year. It was so much fun. It was so stupid. The movie was exactly what we were hoping it to be. And here's a little bit of that bonus episode, the beginning of it, when we start to review the movie. I'm not going to post the entire thing. If you want to listen to that, you can go back to February and find it. But this, we really did enjoy it. So we joked about this when the movie was first announced, when the treatment was put out, when they had put out the announcement, I think in the Hollywood Reporter or something like that. And when they did that, we joked and said, okay, we'll watch this when it comes out because it's clear this is going to be important. Yeah, this, I don't mean to overstate this. This may be the most important movie ever released outside of, like, The Jazz Singer. Like, what a tremendous...
Film has forever changed.
Film has forever changed.
Yeah.
If you would not like to hear spoilers on the movie, and I don't know why you wouldn't at this point, pause this, go see the movie yourself. Glorious, glorious hour and a half or so. Check it out. But we are going to be doing this, and we have some Patreon questions as well to round this out. But first things first, Arif, your thoughts on a glorious piece of cinema.
I can't recommend it enough. I was endlessly entertained throughout the movie. I think maybe that's the best way to put it.
That is actually about howling with laughter.
I recall a moment in high school when my friends and I, we all went to see Snakes on a Plane. Now, we knew the score.
Yep.
Right? I'm sure I've told the story in the podcast before. We all go to the movie. We're ready for some snakes, for some planes, some sort of cohesion of the two, right? And, it did what it said on the tin. In fact, the rumor was that Samuel L. Jackson required the tin to say that. So yeah. And we responded, I think, appropriately to the genre conventions demonstrated within the movie by laughing. It was a very funny movie. Others in the theater, essentially everyone else, thought it was a very serious action flick. And so they were not appreciative.
Very, very high stakes.
Yeah, they were not very appreciative of our approach to this movie, which we thought had a different treatment to it.
Naturally.
Now, history has proven us to be correct, I think. And I was worried after about 10 seconds of this. So Jane told me not to watch any trailers, right? I wasn't supposed to. So I
don't read any reviews, no trailers. Mute it online if you can.
Yeah, completely blind. The only thing I ever saw was, I think, a commercial during Monday Night Football, I think. And then I was like, oh, it's not about beekeepers.
To which which is what you said to me, and I said, wait, no, don't read anything about it. Because I had heard part of a review. I knew what was coming, and I wanted it to be a surprise.
Right, so we're about, I don't know, 10 seconds into the movie, and I'm like, oh, this is the score. Okay. Again, we've already spoiler alerted, so Jason Statham is literally a beekeeper.
He is literally a beekeeper.
It also operates as a metaphor for an organization that sees itself metaphorically as beekeepers. Now, this metaphor
is kind of destroyed by the fact they call themselves beekeepers.
Correct. And also, I would argue, a leitmotif throughout the film. You have to look for kind of the ways that they apply. You have to read between the lines and also listen to any dialogue. They're not subtle.
Subtlety is something that does not exist in this movie. I enjoyed the fact that within the first 15 seconds of the intro, as they're doing the montage and showing all these pictures from textbooks involving bees and beekeeping.
What if the textbook was just called Beekeeping for Beekeepers?
They kept going back to it, and they kept dropping.
So the female, not even the female lead, but deuteragonist, I guess, because she's kind of opposing. So the person who plays Alison Hargreaves in Umbrella Academy, she just starts reading factoids from...
Throughout the movie, really, she just starts dropping beekeeping hints or just hints about bees in general.
Yeah, and again, subtlety is not an approach they've decided to take here.
No.
There are a lot, and I need to stress this, a lot of very good actors.
Jeremy Irons sticks out like the sorest of thumbs. The fact that, like, first off, I love the fact that, like, when this came across Jason Statham's desk, he dropped everything and said, "I will fund this if we need to. This movie needs to be made."
Felicia Rashad is in it.
Felicia Rashad is in it. They Jeremy Irons puts out a tremendous performance.
He's just chewing through the scene.
Every time he is on the screen, he owns everything.
Minnie Driver's in it
for no good reason. Minnie Driver.
And I'm pretty confident they're all on the same page with this movie, in which they know that they just have to read the dialogue as it is. You know how a lot of movies, the actors will kind of work with the dialogue, kind of massage it to make it fit with their understanding of the character,
no,
so they can own the character, so
no.
the dialogue is natural, so that very much seems like these are things that people would say, so that it's tight. Yeah, absolutely not.
No, not the opposite here.
The dialogue.
Jeremy Irons called a bunch of SEAL Team 6 people pussies at one point.
They're all Tier 1 operators. SEAL Team 6. Delta Force. In other words, pussies. Come on.
Jeremy Irons. Not since The Watchmen have I been so enamored by Jeremy Irons.
The Worf effect would have been subtle in comparison to the way they set up how badass Jason Statham character is supposed to be. Instead of just like setting up somebody who we understand to be an elite operator that's incredible at his job, that's
outside the system. It hit every single cliche.
Yeah, oh my god.
When the system fails, we call the beekeepers.
They operate with complete impunity. Oh my god.
He's a ghost. He doesn't exist.
Doesn't even rent a car.
He's never been on a plane.
There's just a birth certificate and a social security number, and that's it. I think he might be special forces.
The fact that at one point he kills somebody with a big jar of honey.
That ruled.
The whole thing, like, they didn't take any real shortcuts on the beekeeping itself. It was everything that it was supposed to be. I don't mean to make a pun there either, but my God, this was...
Well, they did.
Well,
they meant to make every pun.
They made every pun. See, the difference between this movie and, like, Thor Ragnarok, or the fourth Thor movie, is, like, they were, like, forcing jokes every 30 seconds. This was either unintentionally funny or just, like, we are going to be as unsubtle as possible and just drive this home as hard as we can.
Yeah,
the Italian, by the way, shout out to the Italian race B that was mentioned.
Italian worker.
That was the Italian worker B that was mentioned on screen in the opening. We both died.
I was like, oh, Egyptian bees. We haven't discussed this in the bee eugenics discourse.
Bee eugenics. What a...
Oh my god, the featured review on IMDb.
Okay.
Plot/script, 5 out of 10. Cinematography, 7 out of 10. You know what? Actually, fair.
Yeah.
Acting, 6 out of 10. Enjoyability, 8 out of 10.
It is so funny. It is just... If you walk into it like you are... Like you know that you're going to see something that is ridiculous, you're going to be fine. Like, don't walk in thinking this is like this is not Gone with the Wind. This is not.
Well, it's not even like
so
one of those own it action flicks that's just like good on its own.
Imagine
you, like,
Boondock.
Appreciate John Woo.
Yeah.
Type.
Imagine if Boondock Saints took itself less seriously.
Right. Yeah. It's exactly. It is a movie that underneath the surface, no one is taking seriously, but also no one's breaking character.
Nobody.
So it's as if it were a serious movie.
Absolutely.
Test, check. All right, before we start the show, I got a special important gift to give to Arif before we began the show. So before we start the show, in case you didn't have an extra one, I know you've had issues before where you've had to go and do questionable things at a Target. in order to acquire one. So
What does that mean? Oh my god.
somebody wanted to give you this, and there's a special message on it.
Jesus, it doesn't even work for my life. It says "Go Bison" on it. Can't handle this. Fans like these, right?
Yes, absolutely. Fans like these. All right, we'll be getting started here in just a moment. Before we begin, does anyone need a shower curtain in their home? Does someone need... I saw a hand go up right there.
We've also got...
All right. Does anyone... Do you actually need a... Do you have a shower... Do you need a shower curtain? Why don't you come up to the table real quick?
That's crazy.
This is your dream.
Dream bigger, I think.
So this was originally for someone else that couldn't make it, and we have... What a terrifying item.
Yeah,
This
the eyes are gonna see you naked. Like that's like the idea. Do we have a permanent marker? Well, I could sign it, I guess. I don't have anything, so.
We'll figure out a Sharpie situation here.
Okay, yeah. Oh, look at that! All right. Just like right on your stomach. Got it.
This is a wonderful / terrible thing just happened here, and I feel partially
I'm not
responsible. Okay, let me see where we're at. All right. So now that we've given away something that I've been wanting to get out of my house for a while, we'll get started here in just a second. We will be, and just as a special announcement, we will be giving away the 2 tickets to the Monday night game.
Yeah.
We'll be doing that after the show. So stick around after the show. I got a whole system in play this year that is not everyone come up and tell me their name, because I don't need a list of everyone's names. I don't need to deal with that. We do have a better system in place this time. So it's already been tweeted out. Fantastic. All right.
Good. Okay.
All right. Well, let's get started here. Let me pull up the notes. Believe it or not, there are show notes to this.
Allegedly.
And if everyone could give a nice round of applause when we start, I'll mention the name of the building here. So when we start, if you guys can give a big round of applause to them and their servers, everything, really appreciate it. So we'll get started here in, I suppose I should ask you if you're ready.
Sure. I don't know.
I think it would be nice if I did, but...
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's find out.
I need to find a way to... Can I silence the Discord? Is that something? I feel like if I've just banned them outright. Nah, whatever.
Right. We should just probably end the Discord.
The Discord is a silly place. What are you trying to tell me? Yeah, I know the audio's bad. You're bad.
You're bad.
Here, let me see if I can fix this in some way. That is not transphobia. I will not hear it. Okay, is the audio any better now? Maybe. Maybe is the audio better?
Hello? Hi.
You know, when we want them to talk...
No, they said no. I assume it's your audio that's bad again.
Everything is bad.
Right.
They have a bad attitude there.
Bad. Churlish.
No hustle. It wants to speak to the manager. I don't know how to tell you this. Why are you so angry? I actually should have expected that. All right, Arif, why don't you pick our winning card? We have the 6 of diamonds. 6 of diamonds. We got somebody who just wooed. 6 of diamonds.
Nice try, though.
6 of diamonds? Excellent. Thank you. Coach, you come up here. We'll figure stuff out here in just a moment. Again, thank you guys so much for coming out. We really do appreciate it. This was so much fun. And let me just double check your card here. Make sure that it matches. Appreciate it. Remember tickets back in like the late 90s, early 2000s where you like pressed down and there was a little thing there? Yeah, all right. Well, thank you so much. I'll transfer those to you in just a second. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Really appreciate it. Again, thank you guys. This was so much fun.
Norse Code is the largest and only division of Norse Code LLC. You can find Norse Code on the Daily Norseman, SB Nation's Vikings blog at dailynorseman.com. You can also find it on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, and wherever fine podcasts are aggregated. Our Vikings blogger extraordinaire and generally useful human is Arif of... and he can be found on Twitter at ArifNFL. I am your producer and host, and my name is James Pagashnik. You can find me at the show's official Twitter feed at NorseCodeDN or at my personal account at BigMono. If you'd like to donate a few bucks to the show, you can do so in a couple of different ways. You can go to patreon.com/NorseCode and donate there. For $3.50 a month, you get bonus material and more. You can also go to paypal.me/NorseCode for a one-time donation, or you can go to norsecode.threadless.com and pick up some Norse Code merch. Any questions or comments that cannot fit in a tweet can be sent to norsecodepodcast@gmail.com. On behalf of the Norse Code staff, we thank you so much for listening.
Our formula is this.
All things are possible through the power of Ben DiNucci.